All right. If you still don't think that the Freddie Gray thing is a hoax, then check this. I mean, this is a nail in the coffin video for me. And the reason I say hoax is not that I don't believe, I believe that there's violence going on in Baltimore. I just think the whole story, and actually I'm almost positive the whole story is a hoax, and it did get people riled up, and there probably is lots of violence going on. But I don't. It's all set up. I don't even think the story is real. So it did its job. But so I was sitting here today, and I thought of the movie Freddy's Dead with Freddy Krueger the other day, or yesterday, I think. And I was like, holy crap, there's a movie called Drop Dead Fred that I used to like when I was a little kid. Like there's a part where he slides underneath this girl's mom's legs and he points up and he says, look, cobwebs or whatever. But anyway, so I looked this movie up, and basically it's about this girl has an imaginary friend named Fred, or Drop Dead Fred, and he gets her into all kinds of trouble or whatever, but funny that he's an imaginary friend. Anyway, Drop Dead Fred. Look when this movie came out. April 19th, 1991. April 19th is the same day that Freddie Gray died. And 1991 is the same year that Freddy's Dead, the Nightmare on Elm Street Part 6 came out. The same year. They're also mirror days. And I'll show you right here what I'm talking about with this. So we got Drop Dead Fred. Came out April 19th, 1991. Which, interesting, 1991 is its mirror in itself. 19 and 91 are mirrors. But April 19th is the 109th day with 256 days remaining. And then that same year, on September 13th, 1991, Freddy's Dead came out. And Freddy's Dead is the mirror of April 19th, which is 109 days remaining, and it's the 256th day. And then you had Freddie Gray, who died this year on April 19th, the 109th day. I mean, give me a break. What are the odds of that? So anyway, I just watched these movies, and I'm going to talk a little bit about them. Freddy's Dead definitely has a part in it that gives it away. It's a nail in the coffin. I mean, whatever. Anyway, also I wanted to point out that Drop Dead Fred. It says it came out April 19th in the United States, but it came out on October 11th in the United Kingdom, and October 11th would be 8/11/88. So pretty interesting. And I guess before I even get into the movies here, I just wanted to point out that I've been talking about the number 49 a whole bunch of times. It's all to do with Valentine's, Lupercalia, ton of stuff, pi, whatever. So 1966 is 49 years ago. And green, the word green, is equals 49 because G, like if you add up the letters here, I just wrote it out. G equals 7, R is the 18th letter, E is the 5th, E is the 5th, N is the 14th. You add them all up, it's 49. And in these two movies, the color green is super significant. It's all over these two movies, Drop Dead Fred and Freddy's Dead. But also, I just found it kind of interesting that the two main black people cases or I almost said Michael Ferguson because I know somebody named Michael Ferguson. But the Ferguson, Missouri shooting was Michael Brown, and then this Baltimore one is Freddie Gray. So we got colors here. We got brown, gray. And then these two movies, they have a ton of green things in the movies, and it's just nonchalant things, but it's just kind of interesting. So anyway, I'm going to move on to showing you some movie clips. So this doesn't necessarily mean much, but the very first scene of Drop Dead Fred, they zoom in on this goldfish that absolutely has nothing to do with the rest of the movie, and it's just kind of funny because gold is all about California, San Francisco, 49ers, all kinds of 49 references with gold. Just wanted to point that out that they, for some reason, they zoom in on this goldfish. Now, Drop Dead Fred never actually dies in this movie. That's just his name, Drop Dead Fred. He's an imaginary character. He never. The only way to kill him, and I'll get to that later, is by giving him the green. She takes the green pills, and that's the only way to kill him. So there's a green reference. But right in the very beginning here, they have the little thing that comes down and chops his head off. And I mean, they do this multiple times in the movie. They squash this dude's head, and so this is just right in the intro, the credits or whatever. But the reason that's interesting is because that's what happened to Freddie Gray. Where does it say it at here? I mean, his head wasn't completely cut off, but it says, according to his family, he lapsed into a coma after his spine was 80% severed at his neck, and he had 3 fractured vertebrae, and his larynx was injured. So, I mean, his head was, almost chopped off, basically, is what. So, interesting that they actually squashed this dude's neck and head multiple times in this movie. Then the first clock or whatever they show in the movie, the hands are on 2 and 7. And I've been talking about, this is a 27 year, because everything has to do with 88 for whatever the reason. It's all about 88 and 49, and they're all connected. But anyway, 1988 is 27 years ago. 1927 is 88 years ago. Also, earlier I wanted to mention 1966, what I said was 49 years ago, but these 2 movies came out in 1991, and that's 25 years from 1966, and Freddie Gray died at age 25, so pretty interesting. She basically is getting like separated from her husband, and she moves back in with her mom, but when she first walks into her mom's house, they have the black and white Masonic checkerboard floor right in their door, so just pointing that out, I guess, real quick. And right here is Drop Dead Fred. And look what he's wearing. He wears this the whole movie. He never changes. He always wears this green shirt. And another thing that's significant about the green shirt is, remember just, on April 4th, 4/4, a day that I've talked about a lot, there was the shooting of Walter Scott. Interesting, his last name was Scott because I talked about the great Scott. You had Stuart Scott. I can't even think of Scott Brooks, the Oklahoma City guy, was 49, who just got fired. All kinds of stuff with Scott. But this guy, the first thing I noticed was that he's wearing a green shirt. So, I mean, that just stuck out to me. But what's really interesting when you read down here and a little bit more about it, it says it was at 9:30 a.m. April 4th in the parking lot of an auto parts store at 1945 Remount Road. Well, there's the 45 that goes with the 49 that I've talked about multiple times. 45 is Valentine's Day, the 45th day of the year. It's reverse of love. Anyway, interesting. He was stopped for a third brake light not functioning, and he was driving a 1991 Mercedes. And both of these movies are from 1991. So I found that kind of interesting, but I'm going to move on because just wanted to point out another black hate crime supposedly that has a green shirt. And then right here, he sticks his head in the fridge, and then the girl's mom shuts the door and his head gets stuck in the fridge. And then he sits there and he pulls on it until his head almost rips off, and then it comes out all misformed or whatever. So just another thing where they do with like something to do with squashing his neck or whatever. And here's just a picture of him trying to pull his neck out and it's stretching out or whatever. And then right here it shows the clock at 2:20, like Kurt Cobain's birthday, whole bunch of stuff with 2:20, but also it's if you take out the 0, it's a 22. And then it skips over to 2:21, which that goes along with the 49 and whatnot, because that backwards 122, and 122 is San Francisco, it's Pope Francis, it's a whole bunch of things. So I just always mention them too because it's the most significant. And then her mom makes her go to a psychiatrist or whatever to get the green pills, but Fred meets up with all of his other imaginary friends or whatever, and they're all partying, and then this guy's like, watch this, and then he blows his head off. There's a whole bunch of times in this movie where there's references to the head getting blown off or whatever, or the head getting broke off or something. So anyway, moving on. Even right here, she's remembering a old memory where her mom's cutting her hair, and Fred tells her, just tell her dad that they should throw her mommy out the window, blah, blah, blah. But then the dad says, you shouldn't talk like that. Your mom will cut your head off. Just another head reference. Then right here, she's kind of getting back with her husband, and he's jealous or he doesn't like it. And he's like, this isn't how you have sex. Like the pigeons, you have to stomp on her head and then peck her. So just another like head reference. And then here's proof that the pills are green, and that's to make a reference to is these green pills make Fred go away, and they do. And then she gets down to the last pill, and then realizes that this guy is still cheating on her or whatever. And then she ends up going with Fred, and she like goes into the dream world, just like on Freddy Krueger kind of. And then at the end, she realizes she defeats all of her fears. And then Fred leaves her for some other little girl, and then she ends up starting to date that little girl's dad or whatever, and then that's how the movie ends. But I just want to show you one more thing at the end of the movie. It shows the house address at the very end of the movie where her boyfriend lives. I'm not sure if she's like moving in with him or what. That's what they kind of make you think, but I don't know for sure. But it's 176, and 176 is 88 plus 88. Just found that kind of interesting. But anyway, going to move on to Freddy's Dead. So Freddy's Dead actually starts off with a kid in an airplane wearing a green shirt. And then the airplane, he falls asleep and then gets sucked out of the airplane or whatever. So the airplane kind of collapses or whatever. But, I mean, not a big deal until in a few minutes here. Well, I'll show you here what happens in a few minutes. So like I said, he's on the airplane, whatever, it crashes and all this. Read the plot of this movie here. The very first sentence, it says, set 10 years from the present and 12 years after the conclusion of the fifth film set in 1989. So this movie came out September 13th, 1991, and it's set 10 years from the present, from 1991. That is 2001, September 13th, 2001. I mean, come on. That's a total 9/11 reference. And this kid basically, for some reason, Freddy lets him live forever. And you find out that it's actually to bring Freddy's daughter into the dream area where he can get her. But this kid actually thinks that he's Freddy's son, and Freddy won't kill him, and then he ends up dying. But moral of the story is he's played by a guy, his real life name is Sean Greenblatt. I mean, I don't know, just funny that his name has green in it, and then he wears a green shirt in the whole movie, or most of the movie. So just to go along with the 9/11 stuff, the first clock that they show in the movie is right up here, and look at the hands, 9/11. I mean, give me a break. Okay, so anyway, I tried to record a clip and with the tablet that I just bought. So hopefully it'll work. If it doesn't, then I'm just going to talk about it right here anyway. Because my video program hasn't been working right anyway. But right here, she's looking at this poster, and then the black guy or whatever, the counselor, he comes over and he says that this picture is about green demons. And that's like what's in Freddy's head, and that's why Freddy controls the dream world. But these green demons, like just green in general, that's what I'm getting at. Why is it green demons? And then they got like the Van Gogh over here, and I've talked about Van Gogh before, but whatever, just pointing that out, and then I'm gonna, hopefully this clip will work. So
like it? These are ancient green demons. Supposedly they roam the dreams of the living to find the most evil, twisted human imaginable. And they give them the power to cross the line and turn our nightmares into reality.
Right here, it's kind of hard to see. They actually have this in about 2 or 3 spots. It's just a poster on the wall with a one eye. I don't know like what the purpose is or what, but it's a kid with glasses with one eye. There's also a poster up here. It actually says, I think, cocaine, crack, the big lie. And That's actually must have been some type of slogan for cocaine and whatnot in the 80s or early 90s or something. I don't really know, but it just the big lie stood out to me. And there's some things later on in the movie that don't make sense, and that's why I kind of think it's a big lie. I don't know, but just pointing that out, I guess that it says the big lie. Kind of want to look more into this eventually, but because I mean I don't know, just it just sticks out to me, I guess. So right here, he's wearing a green jacket now, and they're stuck in the town where Freddy is, and they're going to the school that I was talking about. But just interesting that he's wearing a green jacket all of a sudden. So they finally get into the school, and like this teacher's in here teaching nobody, and he's just crazy or whatever. But they have a timeline up on the chalkboard here, which I'll show you in a second. But it's just really strange, I guess, the things that are written on there. For one, and one of them really sticks out. And then right here, they show a missing kid or whatever named Brooke. And I don't know. I've just noticed a lot of Brooke, like Russell Westbrook, Scott Brooks. I can't even think of the other ones off the top of my head. I have them written down. There's a ton of them. Just stuff to do with Brooke. So I don't know if that's something significant or what, but it seems like I've seen this name a lot. But anyway, moving on here. Once again, I'm going to try to play a clip, but I'm just going to talk about what he says here first, just in case it doesn't work. So he says, he slaps the board and he says 1493, but he points at 1945, which 45 I've talked about a ton of times, whatever. So it's really confusing. 1493, Freddy came and killed thee, or something like that, and they rhyme it. I also wanted to point out that there's no chalk, there's no circle of chalk right here, and there's no line at all going over to this way, which they actually do here in a second when they switch scenes. So then in between there, the teacher draws a circle around these X's, which I don't really understand. You can't really count them, or I can't make it out, I guess. I don't know what the significance is. But he draws a circle around it, and then he draws a line over here, and he writes, O's win in 4. And but he slaps the board, and that's what gets this scene going. And he says, "Here's the here's a significant thing, or whatever." And he slaps it, and he points to 1966, which is 49 years ago. And he says that's when they took Freddy's child away. But what's interesting is that right here he writes, O's win in 4. That is for the Baltimore Orioles, because they really did win the World Series in 4 games that year. But why? What is the significance of that on this board? There is absolutely nothing else on this board. Like, why about sports even? Why child taken, and then why is the O's win in 4? And then in Baltimore this year, we have Freddie Gray who dies, and oh, it's just so ridiculous. They're totally showing you Baltimore in this movie. And here it is. I just wanted to prove that it's true that 1966 World Series, the Baltimore Orioles, and if you come over here, they won 4 games to nothing. So, I mean, they're definitely showing you the O's win in 4 in 1966, so 49. But, like, what is the point of this? And also, the reason it's even more significant is because on the news, they actually bragged this up, and they made it a big story about how the O's had to cancel their game against the White Sox, and then they ended up playing it today. I think they won, but they had no fans at all. They played a game with no fans in the stadium. So, I mean, I think that was a first maybe with no fans at all, but just interesting that this movie, I'm telling you, Freddy's dead, whatever. Anyway, I'm going to try to play the clip here, so hopefully it'll work. If it doesn't, then I'm sorry, but I'm going to play a clip here, so...
To Freddy 101. 1493, Freddy sailed across the sea.
These dates are all within a 10-year period. What the hell happened here?
Freddy happened here. Here's the crucial point. Anybody know what I'm getting at? Anybody? Come on, people. We covered this. This is where they took away his child.
What child?
Taken away put in a town orphanage.
Freddy had a kid.
Freddy had a kid. 1494. Freddy came back to look for more.
Also, just wanted to point out then, and I never said it, but at the very end of that clip, he says 1894 or something with 94, so reverse of 49. But also 1966, like I said, was to 1991 when the movie came out is 25 years. And Freddie Gray died at age 25. But this movie is set 10 years in the future from that. So it would be 2001. So that would make them 35. But 35 is, the 35th prime number is 149. And 149 is also flux capacitor. And some other things I've been talking about. So just pointing that out, I guess. Then this is the house that they all enter, Freddy's house or whatever. It's the address is 1428 if you add them up. 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 2 is 7, plus 8 is 15. So it could be a 2015 reference. Anyway, I think that's proof enough. I watched the rest of this movie. There's a few other things that aren't necessarily that significant, I guess. Freddy kills a whole bunch of people, or he kills this guy and he kills the other kid that was in the movie Road Trip. That's what I remember him for. But he kills the guy in the green shirt. Actually, hold on, I wanted to prove one more thing, so never mind. But I'll just show one more thing, and then that's about it, really. They end up killing, his daughter ends up killing him, and then the green demons get released from him or whatever, and then the movie ends. But I just wanted to point out one more thing. So this girl's actually Freddy's daughter, but look, she ends up killing him, and look, she's wearing a green shirt all of a sudden. She wasn't wearing a green shirt earlier in the movie, and but when she kills Freddy, she's actually wearing a green shirt. So for whatever the reason, these Fred movies, there's something to do with the color green or green shirt, and it's totally obvious. The very beginning, the one guy thought he was the son of Freddy, but then he was wearing the green shirt when he died, and then then she finds out she is Freddy's daughter, and she's wearing a green shirt when she kills him. Then you got Drop Dead Fred, who wears a green shirt. There's a ton of green things. Anyway, like I said, that's it. This video is going to be really long, and I apologize. Hopefully, yeah, that's it. Have a great night.